Welcome to Breathe California TV. Breathe California is the lung health organization for the state of California. Each year, we assist about 100,000 people with breathing difficulties in Santa Clara County, although our service area is much bigger. Today, we're going to be talking on one of my favorite subjects, which is prevention of damage. Most of the time, the medical community worries about fixing problems that have occurred. My focus on this show is trying to help you prevent problems, and nothing is more important than what we eat and drink. Robbie Brown of Actera is going to be joining us after a quick public service announcement, and we'll talk to you about living longer and healthier.
It's given me a chance to go out and be with people who has the same problem, and it helps you to manage your life better too, because you hear different things from each person, and it's just been really helpful in many ways.
Welcome back. This is Breathe California TV, also known as Environmental Concerns. If you enjoy this show, I hope you'll consider volunteering to help out Breathe California. Just give them a call at 408-998-5865. Our guest today is Robbie Brown of Actera. We're talking about the food you eat and drink. So Robbie, start off telling us what Actera is.
Sure thing, Terry. Thank you so much for the invitation today. So for those of you listening, Actera is an environmental nonprofit based in the Bay Area, and we're really driven by environmental problems that are occurring locally and globally, and primarily the problems that have resulted due to climate change. So we take a lot of pride in engaging, empowering, and educating our local communities, companies, and agencies in the Bay Area. And our goal is essentially to uplift those in the region so that they feel inspired and capable of combating climate change to make a positive difference. And so we've been around for over 50 years, and our programming has changed and evolved as time goes on, but our core focuses at this moment are electrification, food sustainability, workplace sustainability, and youth education.
So one of the things that you brag about as a program is Healthy Plate, Healthy Planet. What's that about?
Yeah, so that's our food sustainability program. And with this program, we're focused on creating community-based solutions to lower our collective carbon footprint. So really what that means is that my work revolves around plant-forward or plant-based eating, wasted food, and providing sustainable experiences with food. We really like to emphasize what we call climate-friendly cooking, and there's 3 core elements to that. So there's, as I mentioned earlier, plant-forward eating, preventing wasted food, and then the third one would be the use of induction cooktops.
So just because you mentioned it last, I'm looking to buy a new stovetop. Mm-hmm. Tell me why it should be induction as opposed to the one that came with my house is for hot electrical plates.
Absolutely. So I am not the induction expert on our team. We have a whole program devoted to that. But just to answer that very quickly, I would say the use of induction is so much more beneficial because it's more efficient. So if you're going to boil water, for instance, compared to that of a gas stove, the water would boil much faster. It's safer. You could put your hand on the induction hob and not burn your hand because the heat's transferred directly to your pot or pan that you're using. And then generally there's less air pollution compared to that of a gas stove.
So the less pollution is on the premise that you're using fossil fuel to generate the energy to cook with.
Exactly.
So obviously we're better off to the extent that we can get switched to solar, wind, or other alternative energies. So I kind of recall when you and I did a program earlier, you mentioned to get this message across, Actera had hired a chef.
Yeah, so we do all sorts of event-based programming specifically for Healthy Plate, Healthy Planet. So as of lately, we've hosted dietary challenges for the community. We've hosted climate-friendly cooking demonstrations where we work with notable Bay Area chefs and they make their plant-based favorites using an induction hob. We've also done other types of events like documentary screenings, lectures and Q&A sessions with experts in the field. And we even provide recipes to our community as well.
Pretty cool. So talk a little bit about sustainability with farmers markets or growing things locally.
Sure. So when you're looking at eating locally or supporting your local farmers markets, in terms of greenhouse gases, it does vary, and it really kind of depends on what practices the farmer is implementing, what kind of machinery they use, and so forth. I'm not going to dive too much into that. Actera really does emphasize, shopping locally and supporting local farmers because we want to boost our local economy here. There's so much great produce and ingredients that are grown in the Bay Area and nearby. So we're very fortunate to be here. So I would like to encourage you guys to support your local farmers market when you can. There's great websites that list all of the farmers markets in the Bay Area and what day and time they are active.
So one of the other nonprofits I help besides Breathe California is the League of Conservation Voters. And we had our annual fundraiser around October 1st at a little pocket park that had been built in San Jose with Vegilution providing all of the food.
Oh yeah, love Vegilution. So, they're wonderful.
Well, why don't you talk about what they do and make an example out of it, because I assume there are other community farms around.
Yeah, there are throughout the Bay Area. Vegilution's great because they grow local produce. They allow students, young adults, retired individuals, working professionals to go there and volunteer. You really get to develop that relation with the land and learn the process of how food is grown and then packaged and transported. So it's amazing to have an organization like them in the South Bay, specifically San Jose. And there's more need for that. People need more access to healthy foods, a variety of foods. So I definitely view them as a community leader.
So when I was teaching at San Jose State, I showed an air pollution film that complained about the 2,000-mile Caesar salad, which certainly is what you have to do in Toronto. You get lettuce from probably Monterey or the Salinas Valley and you ship it a zillion miles. Why don't you elaborate on that and talk about why local farmers markets are great for both air pollution and climate change?
Sure. So again, there is there's a footprint with transportation, right? And if you're transporting produce from one state to another or one country to another, there's going to be an impact in that sense. So going back to what I was saying earlier, if you can support your local farmers markets, or just produce being sold locally and grown locally, that's always great because there's generally less transportation involved in that. And you typically can eat it when it's a lot more fresh, right? Maybe it was picked from the ground and processed all within that day or a couple days before. So you're going to taste produce that has more flavor. It's going to look better. It's just overall more fresh and beneficial. There is one thing I did want to get to though, Terry, if you don't mind, and that's,
please do.
Food and dietary choices, and why does that matter when combating climate change? So the latest science and data that's being published is really highlighting that the greenhouse gas impacts of various food types and well, what does that look like? So we're seeing that animal-based products, when compared to plant-based products, typically are much more intensive and they emit much more greenhouse gases. There are a few exceptions. So, certain foods such as like coffee and chocolate can score very high, but typically the data shows that beef, lamb, and cheese are the worst, followed by like poultry, pork, fish, and dairy. And then you have most plant-based foods below that, such as wheat, soy, nuts, fruits, etc. And why is this the case? Well, the two biggest factors from what I've seen, at least, is that land use change, so like deforestation, converting land for livestock and so forth, is a huge factor, as well as farming processes, as I mentioned earlier, and emissions from livestock. So what kind of fertilizers are they using? And what emissions is that causing? What kind of machinery? These are all huge causes. And that doesn't mean that like animal feed or transportation, as you were alluding to earlier, processing and stuff don't have an impact. They definitely do. All that I'm saying and what I'm noticing is that the elements I mentioned earlier, a lot more emissions are coming from those factors.
So we've done some programs on water use in California, which everybody's well aware of, but they're not so aware that 25 to 30% of the energy use in our state is being used to pump water around. And that's almost entirely for agricultural products. So it's just illustrating your point.
Yeah.
So we're about at the halfway point in our show. We're going to take a break for a 30-second public service announcement and be back with Robbie Brown of Actera.
My name is Rene Montez. I've been using the CPAP machine, I would guess 10 years. I got so accustomed to it, I don't go anywhere without it. I take it with me everywhere. From the moment I put it on, I thought it was the greatest thing because the breathing was a lot easier, and after using it for a couple nights, I felt a lot of energy. Breathe California is fabulous.
Welcome back to Environmental Concerns, a program sponsored by Breathe California, the lung health organization in the state of California. We know there's a lot of strong organizations working for the same goals as we do, like Actera. One of the things that's easy to misunderstand is that air pollution control is reducing the impacts of climate change, because our air pollution, where we're breathing unhealthy air in the Bay Area, is almost entirely a product of the amount of fossil fuels we're using. 85% are the cars we drive. So what haven't we hit on your list? How is Actera doing on getting these ideas across?
Yeah, great question. I'm glad you asked that. So just to kind of reiterate, we are offering a lot of community-based events and programming, dietary challenges, cooking demonstrations, and so forth. And as we host these events, there's always an educational component to it. We want to let our community know, what does it mean to have a plant-forward diet, or what does it mean to eat more plant-based products? What do plant-based products look like? Another, important aspect is becoming a conscious consumer. When you're at the grocery store, what do all these food certifications mean, and how can they help you as you're shopping? And then there's wasted food, which we haven't even touched yet. This problem is that around like 40% of our food in the United States is generally wasted at some point along the chain from farm to fork. And food waste has such a large greenhouse gas footprint because of the energy it not only took to grow it and then to get it from the farm to your home, but then after that, if it goes to the landfill, it releases methane. And methane is one of the most potent greenhouse gases. So another part of our programming here at Actera is trying to come up and think of ways to get creative within your own kitchen, or when you're shopping, when you're storing your ingredients, so that you are wasting less food within your own home.
Well, I hope I don't get beat to a pulp by my next door neighbor. He owns a company that imports fruit to California and the United States, and it's all coming from Central and South America. And so he tells me he's got to get it to the consumer within 28 days of being picked. I'm hoping that the nearby stuff reaches market well before then.
Yeah, and generally it should. And I can only imagine for your neighbor, times must be tough right now with, all the shipment complications as a result of the pandemic.
Oh, absolutely. What are the, you referred to fresh a number of times, but what are the nutritional losses out of products sitting in the market for a while?
Yeah. Well, generally, just like based off of observation, you can see that the outer skin of certain ingredients and produce starts to deteriorate. Maybe parts of like a vegetable that you're looking at is no longer safe for consumption. Part of it starts to mold, spoil. When you get to eat something fresh, you're getting access to those nutrients right away, and you're getting access to flavor profiles that may no longer be as present if you're eating something that's sat for a while. So, eating fresh is great for you on so many levels in terms of expanding your taste and flavor profiles, but also, as I've already mentioned, just getting access to those nutrients as quickly as you can.
Well, you make a excellent set of points so far. I noticed that you have another program called Plentiful New Year. We're obviously getting near a brand new year. So how are we going to work plants in?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. As you mentioned, the new year is upon us. And what do people typically do at the start of the new year? They like to make a New Year's resolution, right? And some of those resolutions are typically to eat healthier. Maybe they want to incorporate more vegetables and fruits into their diet. Maybe they want to lose weight. And so at Actera, we thought, let's host a dietary challenge for the Bay Area community that lasts for the entire month of January. And we've hosted 2 challenges like this before in 2021. They were a huge success. So it just seemed like a no-brainer for us. And what this challenge entails is that, as a participant, you opt in to eat more fruits, veggies, whole grains, and legumes. You consume less animal-based products, and then you feel the benefits of a healthier lifestyle and help the climate by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And in terms of how it works, what you do is you sign up, you indicate what your current diet is and what your goal diet is. So there's a list of options to pick from, and then how many days out of each week for that month that you want to meet that goal. So an example would be, maybe I'm a meat lover, and for 5 days each week in January, I want to be a reducitarian. And then you try to commit to that goal. And at the end of each week, we'll send you a form. You fill that out, indicating your progress, and we'll get back to you. And when we get back to you, we give you your greenhouse gas emissions reduction score. So you can really kind of visualize and see what kind of progress you're making for the environment. And then for those that are new to something like this, we offer support. We send recipes, resources, tips. We even have an optional buddy system, so you could sign up and get paired with a buddy. It's generally someone that's experienced with this way of eating, and they can even provide more moral support and assistance. And we also have a special event in January paired with this challenge. So yeah, very excited.
Well, since the epidemic started, my daughters have been wearing out food delivery services. What is home cooking like compared to having food delivered from local restaurants to your place? Obviously, there's some energy wasted with the delivery services, but I've always heard about how bad restaurants are in salt. Do you have some other implications we ought to know about?
Yeah, there's so many ways to tackle that question. So first off, I want to start by saying, support your local restaurants. They're hurting right now. The pandemic has been very difficult for so many industries and sectors. And Actera works with local restaurants all the time. We love them and we want to see them thrive. Now, to answer your question, yeah, if you get food delivered by a third party, there are some concerns, right? You might be getting excess, excess foodware that is just going to sit there or get thrown out. So you're wasting, resources and materials. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten like 6 plastic spoons in my delivery that I did not need, right? Or extra napkins and stuff like that.
I mean,
So there's
if it's coming to your house, you probably got silverware, but there always seem to be plastic spoons and forks thrown in.
exactly. And some apps are getting better with that, where you can opt in or opt out for this cutlery and foodware, which is great. But another way to look at this too is when you cook at your own home, you are in full control of what you are eating and what is in your food and what you want to eat. And I think that's really empowering and can provide many benefits on so many levels. So again, support your restaurants, but I also would like to encourage all of you to dive into your kitchen and experiment, get creative.
So does Actera have any events you want to announce coming up in San Jose or Campbell?
Yeah, so again, the Plentiful New Year Dietary Challenge, please sign up for that if you're interested. You can find the registration page on our website. We are also going to be hosting a Q&A session with a Dr. Dana Hunnis. She is coming out with a new book called Recipe for Survival, and that is a great entry point for anyone that may be new to this kind of topic. And then in spring, we hope to be hosting another cooking demonstration event, so keep an eye out for that.
So we only have a couple of minutes left. Do you want to talk for about a minute before you wrap up about what each of us can do for healthier, more sustainable eating?
Absolutely. So climate-friendly cooking, I love this solution because it's so accessible, whether you're in elementary school or a retired adult. Anyone has the ability to get involved with this. We all have to eat, right? We all are at some point in the kitchen. Try to consume more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes, and try to consume less animal-based products because it will be more environmentally friendly and you can reap many benefits in terms of health. Also, try to be more conscious in terms of the food that is wasted. If you have food scraps, find ways to use them. If you have parts of ingredients that you've never used before, research and figure out how you could cook it or use it in some other manner. Learn how to properly store things, portion control, and so forth. It's a very easy solution. It just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of research, but you can reap the benefits of it very quickly.
So we've got about a minute left. How do you want to summarize all of this? What you just said is pretty good, but we've still got a minute left.
Okay. Again, feel free to go to our website to learn more about solutions in your own kitchen and with what you're eating. We all have a role to play when it comes to combating climate change. We are starting to see results. We're seeing, communities empowered. We know all of you guys can do this, and we can do this all together.
So I think you did a great job of summarizing. I'm not sure where we are time-wise, but you've kind of been reluctant to badmouth eating beef, which I would be more than happy if you would do a minute or so summary of why we should scale ourselves off of beef.
Sure. Yeah, let me see how I want to word this. So we want to discourage consuming animal products, at least to a certain degree, and specifically beef and lamb. And that's because these animals are ruminants. And ruminants are mammals that have extra compartments in their stomach. So they collect food there and it ferments. And while it's digesting, and with the help of microbes, methane gas is created. And then these cows or lambs, for instance, get gassy and they have to release that gas. Once that gas is released through their burps, all this methane is escaped into the atmosphere. And as I've mentioned earlier, methane is one of the most potent greenhouse gases. So by consuming less beef, less lamb, less animal-based products in general, you can really benefit the climate.
So Robbie, I thank you and I wish you luck with continuing to do this. And we appreciate the work that Actera has been doing to get us to live healthier lives. Thanks again.
Terry, thank you so much.
So we hope to see all of you in our audience again every Monday night at 7 on Channel 15. Thanks again.